guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Beth and this is the Bookworm Tray. Okay, so this is the end of year book tag. This is a video that, and I really hope I pronounce her name right, was created by Ariel Bassett. So she created this tag and has been doing it for a number of years, and this is my first foray. I have looked through the questions and I honestly think this is going to be a very average video because I don't think I've got very good answers to these questions. So maybe I shouldn't do this tag, but I'm going to do it anyway. So the first question is, are there any books that you started this year that you still need to finish? Now, I love DNFing books. I don't know if that's something to be proud of, but I have no problem. If I'm not enjoying a book, that's it. I'm going to put it down. I'm not going to force myself to keep reading it. And if I DNF a book, I don't DNF it with the view that I will be picking it up again soon. Some books that I DNF I do choose to keep because I think rather than it being the book, it's me in that moment. But looking at my shelf, there aren't any of those books. So I think the only book that kind of fits in with this, which is a book that I did DNF, it was because of me in that moment and I would still like to read, is Priory of the Orange Tree. Now I read this, I started this anyway as part of a buddy read, and I was listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook was very confusing and I was really struggling to know what was going on. At that same point in time, I was actually really struggling with audiobooks in general, and a lot of the audiobooks I was picking up I was DNFing, or I was finding that I wasn't really getting the full experience. I usually read a lot of audiobooks, it's never been a problem before, and I'm kind of still a little bit in that mood, but it's a lot better now. And so I decided not to continue with this book at that time because I didn't want to just read it and not know what was going on. I do want to pick this up at some point, but I don't plan to pick this up this year. This is probably going to be a book to read when I don't have a lot going on and I am now back at school. So I do distance learning and I work full time, and I don't really have the time to put into this again until I stop school in May next year. So this almost fits the brief, but it doesn't because I don't plan to pick it up again this year. So because of that, there's only one book I can really use for this prompt, and it is a book that I'm currently reading very slowly, and that is The Cruel Prince. I'm about 100 pages into this. It's 370 pages long, so I haven't really got that much left. If you watched my wrap up, I talked about how I want to reread this series before Queen of Nothing because I don't really remember The Wicked King that well. But it's not a priority read. This one in particular is going to be quite a slow read because I just don't really have a huge amount of interest in it. And I suppose on that note, this book as well is a book that I want to finish before the end of the year. The next question is, do I have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I am not a seasonal reader. I don't read books based on the time of year that they are set in, apart from one may or may not come up later on in here. So the answer to that is no, I don't have a book to transition me into the autumn season. I don't read spooky books at Halloween, I don't read Christmas books at Christmas, I don't read, a lot of people read contemporary in summer. I just read whatever the hell I feel like reading. So no. For me as well, this point of the year, it's not really the transition into the autumn period, it's more of a transition into the winter period. And because I am going to say that this question should technically be about transitioning into winter, sorry Ariel, it means I can then use a book that I will read around the Christmas period. Yes, I just completely changed this question so that I could answer it. I have no regret. So that is The Afterlife of Holly Chase. Now, this book I bought last year on the recommendation of Emma Books, and I started it and I did not finish it because it was Christmas, it was busy, and I just didn't have the time to read it. And by the time I had the time to read it, it wasn't Christmas anymore and it didn't feel right to read. So this is my book to transition me into the Christmassy winter period, which was not the question. So the next question is, is there a new release that you're still waiting for? Now, I think the only new release that I'm still waiting for is The Queen of Nothing. There's been a number of books that I've been very hyped about for this year, and I think that is still the only one outstanding. Starless Sea was like released Monday or something. Yeah, Queen of Nothing is the only book that I'm still currently waiting for. So I guess that's it, and I just don't feel like that's a very interesting answer, but we're at the end of the year and all the books that I was super excited for, I've already got. So the next question is, what are 3 books that you really want to read before the end of the year? I don't have 2 of these books to hand at the minute, but Queen of Nothing and Starless Sea, I really, really want to read these 2 books. The third book has been on my TBR for a long time, so there isn't technically any reason why I haven't read it. But I really want to read All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by the end of the year. I'm just so intrigued by this book. I think I'm going to really enjoy it. It's very different to what I normally read though, so I think that's part of the reason why I haven't picked it up yet. But yeah, this would be the third one that I really hope I bite the bullet and actually read before the year is out. So the next question is, do you think there is a book that could still shock you and become your favourite book of the year? Quick answer is no. I do not think that there is a book that can top my favourite books that I've read so far this year, because I've read 3 books in particular that have really, really affected me, not like upset me, but have just become part of me. I've enjoyed them so much that I just, there's not words for how much I enjoyed these books. I think they're just perfection. Like one of them, I'm just gonna talk about it because I love this book. So one of them is The Hazelwood, which I legitimately think about on a weekly basis. I am going to definitely reread this before The Night Country, I think the next one's called, comes out. I just adore this book. I absolutely adore this book. So I think to top this and the other 2 that are very, very close to my heart is gonna take a lot. If any book is gonna do it, I think The Starless Sea potentially has the potential to be a beloved book. I don't know, possibly. Another book which, the books that are my favourite are all very, very different. And this book that I'm about to talk about now is an odd choice for me, but it's a book that I just think I am gonna really, really resonate with, and that is The Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I don't know what it is about this book, but I am fascinated by it. If this doesn't come up on my TBR next month, I am just gonna pick it up anyway because I am so intrigued. So this is about like evil mermaids. Love that. And it's about some people who go to film a mockumentary about these mermaids, and I've got a story about that which I will get into in a minute, and disappear, and then the footage is found, and I think it's like a sci-fi horror. Not my type of book. I don't read horror. I read a bit of sci-fi. I just think I'm gonna love this. So one of the things that I find really funny about this is the fact that they filmed a mockumentary about mermaids. Now there is actually a mockumentary about mermaids called Mermaids. I have seen this mockumentary. I did not realise it was a mockumentary and decided to start having conversations with people about the fact that I thought mermaids were real. So yeah, I'm an idiot, but I think this book is going to be really, really good, and if anything is going to manage to make it into my top books of 2019 that I haven't read yet, I think it could well be this one. And the last question is, have you started making any plans for your reading in 2020? No, I have not. I'm not someone who really plans reading. Up until recently, I was someone who just mood read whatever they wanted to. But things that I would like to do in 2020, I would like to read more adult fiction and move away a little bit from YA, because I do feel like I am at a point in my life now where I am finding YA a little bit repetitive. I will obviously still read it because this is pretty much all YA going on here. I would also, on the opposite side, like to read more middle grade. So I guess just diversify the age range of my reading is one of the things that I would like to do. And then the second thing I want to do is read more contemporary, thrillers, horror. I just read at the moment fantasy and a little bit of sci-fi, and very recently I've started reading contemporary romance. I just want to have more of a diverse reading spectrum. I at some point want to put another bookcase in here, and I don't want to have another bookcase full of YA books. I would love to have something different in there. So that's what I would like to do. Whether I do it, because I said that this year and then I was like, well, I don't want to read that book, so why would I read it? So whether I actually do it, I don't know, but that's where I would like to go in the reading journey for 2020. Along that vein as well, I would like to be a more organised reader. And by organised reader, I don't mean better at planning what I read, but better at recording what I read. I have a reading journal that I fill out sporadically. I have a Goodreads page which I fill out sporadically. I have a reading spreadsheet which I fill out sporadically. So I would like to really find something that works for me so that I know what I've read in a year. I am at some point going to have to put all of the books that I've read onto Goodreads. So take them from my spreadsheet, take them from my reading journal and centralise them so that I can start looking at my stats for the year and what I enjoyed and making my top list and my bottom list. So I would like next year it to just be there. So that's kind of along the same vein as my reading goals for 2020. So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It feels like it was quite short and not quite as rambly as I usually am, but that's probably a good thing. But yeah, if you like this video, please let me know. So either just give me a like or a comment, or if you want to subscribe, please go ahead. And hopefully I'll see you in another video. Out. Bye.